Hi there, fellow collectors. Jason here. I thought I'd make a video to try to help you collect for the Sega Master System, kind of a unknown system, at least to the casual gamer. A lot of people I know my age, I tell them, hey, did you ever play the Sega Master System? They have no idea what I'm talking about, never heard of the system. It's a really good system with some still reasonably priced games. Now, I haven't collected for the system in 10 years. I have all the games, so I'm not going to quote prices, but I have seen them go for certain prices at conventions that I go to and stuff, so they're still really good price. So I'll let you know which ones you should play, spend your money on, and I'm just going to do this top shelf here. We got 115 games to go, so I'm going to try to make this quick. First off, we got Action Fighter. This one plays a little bit like Spy Hunter, but with some differences. You get to change it to a boat. I believe you get to change it to a plane. A bike. I haven't played this game in a really long time, but it's not bad, and it's a common game, so it should be nice and cheap. Aerial Fighter. This is a fun horizontal shooter. This is kind of a later release. This one might be a little expensive, but if you find it for a reasonable price, you know, it's a fun game. Shooters are, it's kind of hard to screw up a shooter. Most shooters are pretty fun, at least in my book. Another kind of shooter, of course, Afterburner. Plays pretty good for an arcade conversion going to an 8-bit. It's not as good as the one for the Genesis, but this is still a really good game. It's very common. You should be able to pick this up cheap, and it's fun. Good music, too. Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Anybody who's a Sega fan knows this is their first mascot, kind of. Really fun game. A lot has been said about this game. It should be nice and cheap. There's a lot of copies out there. You should play this game if you have a Master System. You should own it, play it, see what it's all about. Alex Kidd The Lost Stars. Misunderstood game. A lot of reviews I've seen. A lot of people just don't really like it, but I like this game a lot. It's got really colorful graphics, good music, decent challenge. It doesn't play anything like the first game. So if you like the first game and you're like, ooh, I can't wait to play this, it plays completely different. Keep that in mind. Alex Kidd in High Tech World. My least favorite Alex Kidd game, kind of a weird game, broken up into certain parts. First part, you got to find the pieces of the ticket. Second part, you're on your way to the city. Then you got to find the, you got to find the map in the first part. Then you buy the ticket. Then you head to the arcade. Game ends. Yeah. That one I'll let you decide. If it's cheap, you may or may not like it. I thought it was somewhat entertaining. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World, late release. Probably going to be a little expensive. Really fun Alex Kidd game. Plays more like a Shinobi game than an Alex Kidd game, but it's a short game, only 4 levels, kind of easy to beat, but a fun game. If you like buying fun games, buy that game. This game is pure poison. Just use it as a doorstop. It's going to be expensive. It's horrible. It was a late release. I got it back, you know, over 10 years ago when it was reasonably priced, and it's bad. It's funny bad, though. If you want to laugh at how bad a game could be, that's one of those games to play. Alien Syndrome, not a bad game. Go around the corridors, save the people, get out of there. Game was also released for the NES. This version has got better graphics, but I think the NES version actually plays a little bit better. I think this one was just... controls weren't as good, a little more difficult. Alter Beast, if you own a Genesis, you probably already have Alter Beast. So there's no need to really get this. This only has 4 levels in it, and it was, I think, a later release, so it's going to cost you a little more. Don't have to get that. Not unless you want to get the complete collection. Astro Warrior, this is a vertical shooter. Came actually packed in with my system when I bought it back in 1988, and it's not bad. It's a cheap game. It shouldn't cost much, and just really has 3 levels, just keeps looping around, but it's not bad if you get it cheap. Aztec Adventure. Ugh. God, I bought this game brand new, and it was so unimpressive. I really can't tell you much about it. I just remember the music was blah, and the graphics were blah, and I just did not have a lot of fun with this game, so I don't think you will either. Black Belt, really fun game. Plays somewhat like Kung Fu for the NES, except there you got you got boss battles. Plus you get power ups. And, well, yeah, boss battles also in the Kung Fu one. But this one was a lot of fun. If you like Kung Fu, you'll like this. And it was a common game. Should be cheap. Then you got Blade Eagle 3D. Don't buy it unless you got 3D glasses. It was a shooter with some really good depth. The 3D glasses for the Sega Master System is the best 3D of any other system out there that tried to do it. Was really good. There's only a few games that use it, but this was a fun game. You gotta get those 3D glasses out. Bomber Raid. This is a really good game, one of the rare third-party Activision games. Again, this was a vertical shooter. Just like all the other shooters, you can't go bad with these games. They're a lot of fun. A lot of 8-bit shooters are fun. I like a lot of 8-bit shooters. California games, like any other kind of California games for any other system. You got surfing, you got mountain biking, you got the half pipe and stuff. I didn't like this game too much. The controls really messed with me, and I just didn't really enjoy myself, so not worth picking up. Captain Silver, late release, not worth picking up because they actually left a few levels out of this game when they brought it over here. If I remember correctly, this only had 2 levels, and I passed it, and I couldn't believe it, and don't even buy it. Casino games, just like any other casino game for any other system. You're going to play poker, you're going to have some roulettes and blah, blah, blah. The Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. Very fun game. It is not a dumbed-down version of the Genesis game. It's actually not completely different, but different enough. Even though the stages have the same themes, they play differently. If you like Castle of Illusion for the Genesis, you'll like this one too. I really like that one. Choplifter, been released for quite a few different systems. This is the best version of this game, at least that I've played. Challenging. Once you figure out how to rescue those guys and bring them back to base without getting shot up, you're going to really like it. This is the best version to play of Choplifter. Cloudmaster. This is a horizontal shooter. Kind of a late release as well. Really weird with all the Japanese stuff. You're actually shooting down bowls of ramen and other stuff. Fun game though. You could get it for a good price. Columns does not get a lot of love. I love Columns, especially the one for the Genesis. This one isn't bad. In fact, you could choose different styles of the jewels that come down and change it up, which you really can't do in the Genesis. If you like the one for Genesis, you'll like this one too. Get the one for the Genesis if you've never played it. Cyborg Hunter. Now this game I love. This is a highly recommended game for me. It's kind of like a platformer. You go in different areas. You got to kill all the bad guys in the area, find some power-ups to move on to the next one. It's very challenging. It'll take you a few tries, but when you pass it, you'll feel very satisfied, and I really recommend that game. Dead Angle is kind of like a Iron Wolf kind of shooter game where you just move the aimer around the screen and shoot up a bunch of bad guys. I used to play this game in the arcade, so I got it for the Master System. And it's not bad. It's I don't know what the price is going for that, but there's some fun to be had there. Dick Tracy. And I played this a few years ago, and I just remember it being okay. So I don't know what price it's going for, but I can't not recommend it or recommend it. Sorry, I can't help you out on that one. Double Dragon. This is a pretty good conversion of the arcade game. Completely different than the one for the NES. This one follows the arcade pretty good. The controls are pretty good. I remember in the arcade you just use the elbow smash all the time, but in this one you want to use the jump kick all the time. Plus you can play 2-person at the same time. Enduro Racer. Very fun little dirt bike game. Where you do these jumps, you got to time the jumps, and it's not that difficult, especially when you learn the tracks, but it's a fun game, and it shouldn't be that expensive because I think it's very common. E-SWAT. I know there's the Genesis version. I believe I only played this version. I don't think I have the one for the Genesis, but I only played this one so far, and it was a decent game. Again, I wish I if it's kind of an unmemorable game, it wasn't that good, but I remember it wasn't bad either. F-16 Fighting Falcon card game. This is kind of basically trying to be a fighter simulator. You actually need to use 2 controllers to play this game. And it's decent for a card game. It's about as deep as a card game will go for the system, but it's really not a whole lot of fun. Probably want to save your money. Fantasy Zone. Most people know about this. One of the very first Q-'em-ups. Not a bad version. I've also played the one for the TurboGrafx version. Is a little better. This one's actually more challenging. Very good version of the game. And I think the Master System is the only one that has Fantasy Zone 2, though, which is actually even harder than the first one, even more colorful, just as cute as the first one. Again, these have really good music, really good graphics. And we got Fantasy Zone, the maze game. This one was, I think, a little bit later release, and it plays a little bit like Pac-Man, but not exactly. You get to actually shoot the bad guys, but you got to gobble up all the things on the mazes there. Galaxy Force with the another Activision game. Not bad, actually. I really didn't like the one for the Genesis, but this one's pretty good, actually. This is kind of like a flying forward, kind of like Afterburner type of shooter. Gangster Town is a light gun game, and it's basically shooting. You're going to be shooting guys into cars, going around bars, just shooting people. Normal light gun type of game. And the last one on the shelf, the infamous Ghostbusters. Now, I have the NES one, and I've never played it, but I've seen enough reviews on YouTube and seen how hated it is. This one isn't as bad. The graphics are not as bad, and there is some differences. I remember the whole stairwell thing that everybody makes a big deal about in the NES one was not anywhere near as hard in this one. I was able to pass this one without any codes way back in the day. If you somewhat like Ghostbusters for the NES, then get this, and you'll like this one that much more. So there you go. I went through about 35 games. I'll make another video with this shelf here. You know, all these games here, with the exception of a few like Alf and Captain Silver. If they're cheap, they're gonna be. You may, if anything, you'll think they're an average game. But there's also some really good ones. Like I said, Cyborg Hunter, I recommend. The Alex Kids, I recommend. Black Belt, I recommend. So there are some very fun games. So go get the Sega Master System before people start figuring out that it's a good system and the prices do get out of control. Right now, that's reasonable. So hope that helped you, and I'll try to post the next video soon to help you with the next 35 games in the list. Alright, thanks for watching.